Welcome to the February 2nd, week 4 stand-up for the Trident team. This is the start of a new sprint for us, so in addition to talking about what we've been working on, we're also going to be going over what we're going to try and accomplish over this next 3-week period. Frank is out sick today, so he's not going to be able to join us for this stand-up. I know he has been working on looking at ways to cut down on the number of dice, just in case that we decide to go with shipping dice with the boxes. So that way that'll cut down on material costs as well as shipping costs. As well as he's looking at how can we make differentiations with the dice. Basically, what systems do we have and what can we do to make rolling, the number of D6s different. That way we can use those strategies for the equipment for the Tridents and the abilities for the Leviathan. I've been working on updating some of the the flavor and the lore for just random bits throughout the document, just kind of getting the overall, starting the beginnings of fleshing out what the quote-unquote narrative, or at least more the setting, is going to look like in its entirety. I've also been spending a lot of time making sure that the artists have as much direction as they can get, so that way we're making sure everything's going so we can have those pieces in for the document as well as for the main UI scene in the digital version. And today I'm going to be probably sending out some just a couple of narrative pieces, just so people can kind of start seeing that. It's always better to present things as a narrative, conflict resolution, drama, and tension, as opposed to just pure blad lore, because that's not interesting for anybody to read. And I'll probably also be working with the manual on looking at the core action economy in the game as it currently exists, and seeing if there's anywhere there that we can either simplify things or we need to add more complexity to make it a little more interesting.
I'm James. I did concept art last sprint, and I'm starting to get a feel for what the game needs, and I'm going to be starting a new character concept to get more in-depth in what is required for this coming sprint.
Zachary, the lead programmer. I did a lot of research into haptic feedbacks, trying to find something that isn't just handheld.vibrate, which is what Unity offers, and ran into some problems with that, other than Apple offering their Taptic engine, which just gives you 7 vibration settings to go with. They don't let you make your own, probably because they don't want you to drain the battery on a super long vibrate. So today I'll keep hunting around for that, seeing if we can do something that isn't a plugin we have to buy. And yeah, other than maybe adding some stuff to the current dice spawner, like making you actually swipe to roll the dice instead of just pressing a button.
Shelby, I'm the lead artist. Donald offers some great feedback for James and I's concept pieces, so I've been working on a lot of deep sea insect kind of Leviathans and just trying to get that done. I plan on finishing a couple other pieces today because I brought my own laptop, so I'm going to be working on that. And yeah.
I'm Emmanuel, I'm a designer for Trident. Since we met last week, I've been compiling all the feedback we got for the playtest and sent that out in the design Slack. I've been reading Donald's notes on the feedback to see what things have a priority of what we need to work on. And like he said, this week I'll probably be working on looking at the actions in the game for the combat right now. See if anything needs to change.
John, you go next.
Alright, I've been working on 3D modeling, started doing the art test, and it's somewhat changed to the main UI scene with the holographic table and all, so when the player walks up to it, it'll activate and bring up the user interface screen. Been working closely with Donald on that, getting great direction from him. on the way he wants it to look and feel. I've had uploaded more photos to the submissions folder on Google Drive and take a look at the new designs there. And that's what I'm going to continue working on until directed otherwise.
Daniel?
Daniel, programming. Just been working on UI elements, basically. Buttons, for reviews, anything that was in the list of things to get done. And that's pretty much what I'm going to keep working on. Just making more precaps, anything that we would need, even sound or whatever. So, I'm going to keep doing.
On that note, John, just because the next step with Daniel is going to be locking down on the 3D, 2D UI merge. So if you could go through and drop an FBX of just the table for now. We don't need all the pieces. So just like an FBX of the table as it currently exists. So that way Daniel can have a piece that's a little more interesting than just a cube for when he starts working on the 3D, 2D integration.
Alright, do you want me to do a short animation of how the arms work on the table? Because if you look at the last picture PNGs that I posted, it has two arms on it, one on corresponding corners that slide out and rotate up to show the holographic projection on the table.
How long do you think it would take you to do that animation?
Not long, because like I said, there's two movements of the arm where it slides out and then the one arm rotates up.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and do that animation first and then package all that and drop it in submitted. So that way Daniel can grab that and we can start playing around with that.
Alright.
Okay, my name is Michael Shepard. I am a programmer on the project, and I've been working, at first I was working on a customization system for drag and drop and a little bit of UI. I got that done. Then I started on saving, making so you could save your builds. I got everything, I was able to make it so that your build could save into a string and then be converted into a JSON file. And then that JSON file could be saved with ClearPress. Right now, I'm going to try to get it so I can make dynamic strings, so that way you can save an infinite amount of builds, and also implement that with PlayFab.
Okay. Everything sounds good. People are pretty much already working on what's going to be the priorities for this next sprint. It's just continuing to refine the programming tools. I'd like to see next week, end of day Friday, if we can't package everything together as it currently exists into a build. I mean, Art, you guys getting the first set of Leviathan and Tridents done for this, that way we can start using those to play around with placement within the document.
How long do we have for this sprint?
This sprint is 3 weeks, so usually the way I always handle sprints is because the third week, that Friday, is the build review, so we don't really have that as a work day. Getting everything in by Wednesday at around between like 2 and 3 o'clock Arizona time. That way that gives me the time to test the build, make any sort of presentation if we need to for stuff that's, like, obviously your guys' stuff doesn't go into the build because it's for the physical component of the game. But that gives me the time to do that, check up on that, and also if we need to make any slight alterations leading up to Friday, that we've got the time to do it. So you have this week, next week, and then your asynchronous hours 2 weeks from now to get all that stuff kind of build ready. But yeah, it's getting those pieces done, throwing together the tools, which will be all connected and hopefully running in Daniel and John's UI. For design, I think we can realistically wrap up action economy, conventional units, and Trident equipment. So that way we've kind of got the front end all finished up, and then we can just focus on the Leviathan for that next sprint. And then we've got the core loop for the game pretty much finished, and then at that point it's just touching on rules that exist elsewhere and making alterations as we do additional playtests. Yeah, that's kind of the goal for this sprint. In addition to also for John's 3D models to have the kind of the first rough pass of the 3D pieces, so that way Daniel can do the first rough pass of the 2D, 3D UI, so that way we can have those, all your guys' scenes and tools connected together in the build.